It's Neil Kenlock talking, who we've looked at some of his photographs of the Black Panther movement.
I was born on the 1st of December 1950 in Jamaica, a place called Port Antonio, and that's the eastern side of Jamaica. My father came to England in 1951 when I was about 3 months because he was seeking work, and it's the old typical thing where Caribbean parents came to Britain for a better life. And because just after the war, there was nothing really happening in Jamaica, no economically nothing's happening. It's a very beautiful island, but there's no jobs and opportunities for young people at the time in the 50s. So he decided to come to England to help build the country after the war and also to make some money and return back in about 5 years. Then after 18 months of being in this country, he sent for my mother, who left me when I was about 18 months or so. And then I finally joined them in London in 1963 when I was about 12. I lived with my grandmother. Most West Indian children in those days lived with their grandparents because the grandparents will actually take the child away from the natural parents and look after them until their parents are settled wherever, usually in Britain or Canada, in America, what have you. So that was a typical thing. So most West Indian children of my age would live with their grandparents at some point in their life at that stage, yeah. And that was a big shock, and that's usually, I think that's something to do with some of the so-called problem with the Caribbean community, because you were just left like that, and one day you were just said, okay, you're going to England to see your parents, and you just see somebody that you have no relationship with, you really don't know. I mean, first when I arrived at Heathrow Airport in 1963, I saw this person that was like, he looked a bit like my grandfather, and he was like waving at me, and I went over and he kissed me, and I thought, who's this man kissing me? And that was my father. That's the first time I really recognized my father. And when I got to the house, my mother wasn't in. She went to the shop to buy something. And they said, if you look through the window, you'll see your mother. And I've been looking at all these different people, shapes of people coming down. I just couldn't recognize her. And then somebody said, there she is. But she really didn't mean anything to me. It took me a long time to call her mommy and daddy. You know, I would like avoid calling them for many, many months because I said, but these people certainly are not my parents. So it took some time to sort of understand the culture and ways and so forth. And, you know, there was a language problem and a cultural problem.
When he was born in Jamaica, he moved to in England 1950, around then in London. Yeah, it's quite interesting story. This person.
Jamaica for him, that wasn't just his home. That was basically, I would say, his own birthright, and that was a part of his soul. Because how everyone feels about where they come from. Because, for instance, for me, I'm not actually from Jamaica. I was born here, but my parents were born in Nigeria, and I think every time going back to Nigeria, okay, it kind of gives me that essence of something that I miss, you know, basically being surrounded by three things. One, which is basically family, because that is very important. Because I think without family, you don't know where you would be in this world. And secondly, also the scenery. And thirdly, without a doubt, mostly the smell, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, well, all of my relatives are like very important to me. So like even from like Kingston, Jamaica to my parents of here, they're all important to me. So yeah.
I'd probably say the way I see it is that it doesn't matter, that everybody's family is important to them.
True. Speaking about my point of view with my parents, well, my grandparents were from the Caribbean, of course, Barbados, and Yeah, my mom was born in Barbados, and then my grandparents just moved to England and told me a few stories about that.
I actually feel sorry for him when he was a little boy, because how strange it must have been to feel weird about calling two strangers, in essence, mum and dad, because they must have not felt like mum and dad in the beginning, and obviously they did after. I can't imagine what it must have felt like. And he's away from his grandparents, he's away from his home, and probably completely different weather, different culture to get used to. It must have been very overwhelming, I think, for him.
Is he one of the people that came over on the Windrush?
Yeah, I think you're right, Ros. I think they would be all part of that generation.